I'm going to show you how to make an infographic using a website that allows you to make free infographics. If you go to my assignments page and scroll down past the infographic that I made and past the assignment announcements that I've made over the last couple of days, you can find the website Infogram. If you click on that link, it will take you to that website. If you click on Start Now, it's free. You can create your own account by entering a username that you'll have to decide on, an email address that's an active one, and a password that you will choose. I would suggest that you probably should choose the same password that you use for your email, and then you'll be able to remember it. Once you've created an account, you can then click on Log In. To log in, you enter the email address that you have provided and your password. So I'm going to log onto the account that I've created. I've got one in my library, the one that I've already created, but I'm going to go to the Create link. Click on Create, and you get to pick one of these types of formats or templates. So I made one with yellow last time. I think I'm going to make one that looks like this time. It's got some different colors. So you need to double click to add your title up here at the top. So double click on that and then type your title. I've chosen the title UNICEF Helped Kids. Then you want to click here where you can put a quote. Now the quote should have something to do with this. So try and pick a quote that is to do with helping people or making the world a better place. I like a particular Gandhi quote, so I'll choose that one. Then there's the possibility of putting in a chart. And this chart here is with some data that doesn't have anything to do with what we're making our infographic about. I am going to delete this particular one because that is not a helpful chart, but you can go over here and you can add charts and graphics and things like that that would be more helpful. So I'm going to click on this Add Chart button, and then I've got choices between a bar, a column, a pie, and all these kinds of things. I like the pictorial one because we're making an infographic using information from the book If the World Were a Village that has 100 people. So that lends itself really well to the pictorial one, which has a picture of a bunch of people. So I am going to click Add Chart after I've selected that one. It takes a moment for the screen to refill. And then what I'm going to need to do is double click on the chart that's in there. And I'm going to need to change this information because this information has to do with gross domestic product, and that's got nothing to do with raising money for UNICEF. So up at the top, I am going to replace past GDP with percentage of the world's population. And then I'm going to replace these years with the things that I'm going to collect some data about, like food. And I'll collect some data about electricity. And I'll collect some data about school and whether people go to school or not. And I'll collect some data about whether people have access to safe water or whether they don't have access to safe water. And I'll collect some information about wealth or how much money people have. I'll also collect some information about clean air. And now I'm going to look in the book, If the World Were a Village, to get this information, and I'm going to put the information into the proper place on the table. And now what we need to do is we need to change the parts of the table in the A column. But I'm looking for information about partly whether people's needs are met and whether people's needs are not met. So where it says Western Europe, I'm going to write needs are met, and then I'm going to write needs are not met below that. And those will be the two basic categories that I will use. So for instance, in the book, If the World Were a Village, it told me that 75% of people have electricity. and 25% of people don't have electricity or don't have access to electricity. So now I'm going to get rid of all these other columns in that, or all these other pieces of data in the column for electricity. And it told me that 38 people in the village, or 38% of people in the world, are of school age, but only 31 of those people get to go to school. So if I punch that into a calculator, it looks something like this. 31 people in the village who go to school out of the 38 people in the village who are school age gives me 0.5, which can be rounded to 82%. So that tells me that 82% of people in the village who are of school age are having their needs going to school met, and 18% are not having their needs for school met. And then I'll delete the rest of the numbers in that column. In terms of safe water, the book told me that 75% of people have access to safe water, 75 people in that village have access to safe water, and only 25% or 25 people in that village don't have access to safe water. They have to do some work to be able to get the water. And now that I do that, I realize that the electricity statistic that I have here is actually incorrect. It wasn't 75 people in the village, it was 78% of people in the village. So that would mean, or 76% of people in the village, I guess I mean to say, 76 people in the village, and that would mean that 24 people in the village don't have access to electricity. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. Clean air, the statistics in the book told me that 68% of people have access to unpolluted air, and 32% of people, or 32 people in that village, don't have access to clean air. They've got air that's polluted. Wealth is where things get a little complicated. So I'm going to delete everything in the wealth column first. And food is also where things get a little complicated. So I'm going to delete everything in the food column, and I'm going to add some different pieces of information. Now, in the book, If the World Were a Village, it told me that 24% of people always get enough to eat, or 24 people in that village always get enough to eat. There are also people who don't always get enough to eat. They go to bed hungry some of the time. I'll just type out what it told me in the book. They go to bed hungry at least some of the time. And that was 16% of people, or 16 people in the village. So I'm going to put 16 in the column beside go to bed hungry at least some of the time. I'm not using needs are not met this time because it's not as simple as needs not being met. The book gave us more information. There are 16 people in the village who go to bed hungry at least some of the time. There were also people in the village that were always hungry but not severely undernourished. And those people I'll call always hungry but not severely undernourished. And then there were people in the village who were severely undernourished. So I'm going to type that in here. Severely undernourished. And I spelled severely wrong with an extra R, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix that. So how many people were always hungry but not severely undernourished? That was 34 people in the village. And then there were people who were severely undernourished, and that was 26. And the way that I got this information is the book told me that it was 60% of people who were always hungry, and then it told me that of those 60, 26 were severely undernourished. So I went 60, take away 26, I got 34, and that told me that 34 people were always hungry, but not of the 26 that were severely undernourished. So altogether, if I add these numbers up, it should add up to 100. So if I go 24 plus 16, I get 40, and then 34 plus 26 equals 60, and 40 plus 60 equals 100. So that accounts for all 100 people in the village. Similarly, when I go over to the column for wealth, I had 20% of people make over $9,000 a year, and the poorest 20% of people make less than $1 a day. So I'm going to add that information over here. So more than $9,000 a year. And less than $1 a day. I'm also going to have people who are somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to add that in too. Somewhere in the middle. And now I can add less than $1 a day. It's important to try and get these things in the right order because of the way that the Infogram website creates the graphic that you're going to use. It'll put them in the order that you put them on the table. So you want to have it in an order that makes sense. So I'm going to go with more than $9,000 a year. That's the richest 20% of people. Somewhere in the middle, those are the people in the middle. And then less than $1 a day, those are the poorest 20% of people. So over here in the wealth column, I am going to point out or enter the data that 20% of people are in the richest 20% of people that make over $9,000 a year. 60% of people, or 60 people in that village of 100 people, are in the middle, and the poorest 20% of people, or the poorest 20 people in that village of 100, are in the less than $1 a day column. So now I've got a couple of blanks on this chart, but you don't need to actually fill in the whole chart. You want to make sure that things are in the right place, beside the right piece of information, under the right category. So now what I'm going to do to get this chart, to get my data entered into the chart with the picture of the people on the infographic, all I have to do is click off of that chart, and it's going to enter that chart into the infographic. It takes a moment. It still looks like the old one, but now it looks like the new one. When we eventually publish this infographic, it will be interactive to the point where you can click on food to see the information about food. You can click on electricity to see the information about electricity, and so on. So right now, all you can see is the food one, and it shows me that some people's needs are being met, and those are the people that are yellow, according to this legend down here at the bottom. Some people go to bed hungry at least some of the time. Those are the people that are green, according to the legend at the bottom. The orange people in the picture in the graphic are always hungry but not severely undernourished. And the people who are red in that graphic are severely undernourished. And each one of the other categories, electricity, school, safe water, clean air, and wealth, will have the information that I entered in for that particular topic. So that is how you add a graphic like this. So you go up here to add a chart, you pick which kind of chart, and then you pick a chart that fits with the kind of information that you're adding. So this is the kind of information, or this is the kind of chart that works for the information that I entered from the book, If the World Were a Village. Now I can add some different things. I can add a map, I can add some text, I can add a picture, or I can add a video. I am going to add some text to explain what this information is about. So this information is about the way things are in the world. So once you add that text, it's going to have this thing that says this is a dummy text. Double click on that, and then you'll be able to type your text. And now I've added some text, and it explains where I got that information. It gives credit to the author of the book who provided that information to me. And now I'm going to add something else. I am going to add a picture. So I'll click down here on add a picture. And I'm going to look in my documents, in my pictures, and I'm going to try and find a picture that would work for this. Hey, here's a picture of the world. So I'm going to add a picture of the Earth. And it's going to come right after that text that I just added. So now I've got this element of my infographic that's got a picture of the world that kind of goes with what I've just written about or what I've just added to it. So I double click on it because I want to make it a bit smaller. I don't want it to be quite that big. So there we go. And now I'm going to add another picture because I just happen to have in here somewhere a picture for if the world were a village. There it is, World Village. So I'm going to add that graphic or that picture to my infographic. And so I'm just trying to make my infographic look interesting. I'm trying to make it look nice. I'm trying to make sure that I choose elements that have to do with what the information that I'm putting in my infographic, and I'm trying to make it flow. It goes in a certain order. So I started with my title. I have a quote that's meant to be inspirational. Then I've got some information. I tell where I got that information from. I have graphics that relate to that information, and I just saw a typo. If you find a typo, make sure you go back and fix things that are spelled incorrectly. So I just typed this in the wrong order and it doesn't look like this. So now I'm going to fix it, and so on. Now I am going to add below this some information about UNICEF. So one thing that you might want to add about UNICEF is some facts and figures. So I'm going to click on the facts and figures, and I'm going to add a facts and figures box. The facts and figures box is going to appear at the very bottom, and here are the facts and figures that it's chosen. Those aren't the facts and figures I'm looking for, so I'm going to double click to edit that chart. The facts and figures that I want are about UNICEF. So I'm going to get those facts and figures from the UNICEF site. So for instance, I want, and you could pick whatever icon you'd like. You want the up and down or the profile or the star. I'm going to start with a star. And the figure that I'm going to add is $20. So I'm going to type in $20. And $20 is the fact that goes with $20 is that $20 is the cost for pencils for an entire school, because that is information I got from the UNICEF website. And then if I want to add another page, I can go like this. I can click plus down at the bottom, and then I have to give this page a title. So this section can be called UNICEF funds can go to buy these things. And the next section is going to be on page 2. So if I click on page 2, I'm going to give that a title. And that title is When Funds Add Up, because these are the most expensive things. And I'm going to add, let's see here, I'm going to go with another star. So the figure that I'm going to add here is a $509 water pump. So $509 is the cost of a water pump, so that kids can have clean water at their school. Period. And now I'm done, so I'm going to click off of the graphic that I'm creating or off of the element that I'm creating, and then that'll add that element to my infographic. You can also add videos to it. So if you would like to add a video at the bottom about UNICEF, then you click on Add Video, and it will ask you to enter a YouTube or a Vimeo address into the text field below. If you wanted to get that YouTube video, you can go like this. You can just click on the lower right hand part of it on the assignments page, and here it is. It's on Vimeo. This is the website. It's up here, so you select that, you copy it, you go back to your infographic, and then you paste that address into the infographic box for add a video. Click add, and now it's going to take a moment, but this video will be added to the bottom. So now I've got some information from If the World Were a Village, a couple of pictures, a little bit of text, some information about what UNICEF does to help kids around the world, and a video to help people understand and to try and motivate people to give money for UNICEF when we're doing our fundraising campaign. So now that I'm finished, I go up here to the top and I can share this in different ways. So I go up here and I click share. So I can share privately, but not really, because I'm not paying for this. This is the free version. So instead of doing that, I'm going to click publish. And now this thing is published. I can view it on the web. I can share it on certain things like Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest, or I can embed it on my wiki page. So to embed it on my wiki page, I'm going to click in the embed box. I am going to then right click and choose to copy that. And then I go to my wiki page. I can embed that embed text and put it on my wiki page. So now that I've copied the embed code onto my clipboard, I get into the wiki, and then on the page where I'd like to embed the infographic, I click on Edit. I put my cursor in the place where I want to put it. So I am going to put it right underneath the video that's at the top of the page. So there's my cursor. Go to Insert. I choose HTML. I enter the code by right-clicking in that box and pasting the code in there. And you can even say it says UNICEF Helps Kids, which is my title. I always like to click this just to be on the safe side for allowing features of the thing that I'm embedding. And then I'm going to click Next. I have the plugin right there. I'm going to insert the plugin. And now I click Save at the bottom. And then the wiki page will publish with that infographic as a part of the wiki page. And you can see the infographic right here on the wiki page. Another option is to view it on the web. If I click View on the web, I can actually go to the website, and now I'll have a link that I can use to help me find the infographic that I just created. And here it is. Now that I'm looking at it on the web, I can look at different things. So I can choose to look at the information about electricity. I can choose to look at the information about clean air. I can look at the information about school. I can look at the information about wealth. And I can look at the information about safe water. Similarly, down at the bottom, I can look at the information about where UNICEF funds can go to buy these things, or when the funds add up. And then there's the video down at the bottom. And I now have created an infographic that has a number of elements, that has a key message. It goes in a reasonable order, sort of beginning, middle, and end. I talk about some problems in the world. I have some graphics that go along with that, and then I've got some information about how UNICEF helps to solve those problems in the world, and then I've got a video that tries to encourage people to contribute to the UNICEF Make October Count for Kids fundraising campaign.
I've never seen a diamond in the flesh. I cut my teeth on wedding rings in the movies, and I'm not proud of my address in a torn up